Nice, nice. Thank you, Hakim. Have you've been to? We were just talking about Oakland. Have you been here before?
Never been to Oakland. I've been to New York and LA and Las Vegas, and never Oakland.
And you're talking about when you came here performing with the band. Is that right?
No, I went just to indulge myself in the freedoms of your country. And also, one time I went with the Hellacopters to just be a sort of, helping hand, I would say.
Would you, do you think you were very helpful to them?
Yeah, I drank their beers and, that's pretty helpful, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You lighten their load.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about the band name. How did you settle on Dead Lord, and what other names were strongly considered?
So when we started the band, I was into sort of atheism a lot, and I was really bothered by people who were religious. So I wanted to make it to, I wanted people to notice and to be, a bit provocative. But mostly it kind of sounded cool enough, and that's what you go for, because no band names are good until the band is good. Like Metallica, come on, what kind of band name is that? But as soon as the band is good, you can kind of get away with whatever band name you want. So you just have to go with something. I don't know what else I had in mind. I was flirting with something electric because that's, always cool. But nah, the Lord, that's dead. That's us.
Did you approach atheism from Christianity? Did you come from a religious upbringing?
Well, my mom's always been going to church, and she's, I wouldn't say she's religious because, it's like no one in Sweden really is religious. But she's always been she has felt that she has this sort of Christian roots. And my dad's also is the older he's gotten, the more he's been into religion, and he's a Muslim. He claims to be a Muslim, but he likes to drink beer, and it's kind of it's just a way for him to I don't know, feel better about getting old, I guess. So that's always bothered me. That sort of believing in ghosts. But no, myself, never been really forced into anything religious or so. Just seeing people around being weird and acting weirdly and starting wars and hating people because they read a book, the wrong book.
Now, who are your main influences? Obviously, we can hear Thin Lizzy, but who would we be surprised to hear as an influence?
I sort of the outlaw country guys. Guy Clark, Townes Van Sant, people like that. That's something I listen a lot to, and I wouldn't say that it's that you can hear it in Dead Lord's music, but even if I don't know it, maybe there's a part of their sort of way of writing songs that I kind of I'm drawn to, when I'm writing songs. But then I like pretty much the standard bands that every rock dude likes: AC/DC, Iron Maiden. Rory Gallagher is a big one. In my mind, the greatest guitar player ever. Yeah. And
Rory, if you're refreshing my memory, Rory is an Irish guitar player. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I wonder if there's something in Ireland that gives certain people the rock. Do you think there's certain areas of the world, obviously you're from Sweden, and there's a lot of great rock bands come from Sweden, maybe not as many that more than may come from, say, other parts of the world?
Yeah, well, of course, there's Bay Area thrash. There's like 80s LA sort of hair rock. Different parts of the world in different spots with their sort of communities and things going on make the music a certain way. And Sweden isn't that big. It's like it's almost like one giant city when it comes to music, and everyone knows everyone, and you have this sort of like a supportive sort of vibe going on with pretty much all the rock bands. So I think that adds to like a certain sound. Absolutely.
And have you always played an SG, and how does it compare to a V or a Les Paul or others that you played?
I actually started out playing like shred guitars because I was into Yngwie Malmsteen, and I had like a Strat, and then it was like green and like flake green. It was like really a loud color. But then I kind of grew up and I understood that it's not about how many notes you play, it's how well you play them or how much you mean it. So I bought a Les Paul, but then when I was performing with that, people started yelling Slash, which to me was just like a no-go. Not that I hate, I think he plays really good, but I wanted to be myself, so I got an SG, and they're really comfortable. Like if you're playing a lot of shows and you're standing there, it weighs nothing. You'll be fine. And
most importantly, people are no longer yelling Slash.
Yeah, yep. That's really nice. I also got my own mustache just to be sure to be a cartoon that they will recognize.
Very good. Very good. A character, if you will.
Yeah.
The new record is Surrender. It's number 4. Comes out in September. Is there any covers or bonus tracks for special releases? And is there any special guests on the album?
Yeah, well, of course, the album is available in a gazillion different vinyl colors. And the CD version has a few bonus tracks, a Rory song, a Moon Martin song, and one of our songs in Swedish. So if you want to hear how Swedish sounds, that's the CD. Yeah, we have a few friends on the album. Robert Persson, who recorded it, is a great musician. He is playing with his band, Robert Persson's Humbucker. And he's doing some backing vocals on the album. We have Nick Andersson from the Hellacopters playing the tambourine, because why not? And also Josef Toll from Enforcer is doing backup vocals on one of the two of the tracks, and he's got a great voice. Like, that's a trick, if you have a song that's good, you want it to be really good, you bring in your friend who sings like the best singer and you have him do the backup vocals, and then it just sounds fantastic.
Is there a theme that runs throughout the album, or is it more of a collection of songs?
Yeah, usually my topics that I write lyrics about tend to be sort of depressing, political sort of, a bit darker view on reality, that sort of, those topics. So a lot of, a lot of that. And to not make people who listen to it completely depress themselves, we tend to compensate with making the songs really snappy. So there's that, and there's also a bit of, my own personal nonsense, which tends to be a bit more mellow songs.
How hands-on is the label, and do you appreciate their input?
Oh yeah, they've always been like really, like friends basically. This is our third album with them, and they always it's like we know them by now, and they show up to shows, and they actually show up because they like the music, and they stick around, and they have beer. It's really nice to have that sort of thing, because when you boil it down, it really comes down to like the trust between a label and the musicians. If you don't have that thing, then you can't really get anywhere. So it's really nice to just have that. I was a bit worried when Sony bought them, but it's been pretty much the same. And whenever we're passing through Dortmund, where they are have their office, we always try to have a beer with them or so.
And I mean, they're good at what they do, and I imagine that their input or advice is pretty valuable for the most part.
Yeah. Sometimes they tend to be a bit too German, but it's fine.
How did you hook up with them? Did they reach out to you through social media or?
No. Well, our first record label was High Roller Records, and my friend Sven plays drums in Antichrist. He got me in touch with Stefan, and then we sort of started playing and releasing in Germany. So Germany has always been like our home, so to speak. And from just touring and being seen there, our manager now, he's working for them as well, so he kind of approached us, and then we scouted for a few different record labels, and we had a few offers. I think we had 4 or 5 offers to choose from. None of them were actually any good at all. So Century Media, actually, they had good deals, which was great, and then also them being nice people, that's a bonus.
What was your first rock concert? What was your first band T-shirt?
I remember my first real festival I went to. It was Hultsfred in Sweden, and I went to see Slayer, and it blew my mind. I think I was 14 or 15. That was a big thing. What was the question again? Yeah,
what was your first? What was your first rock band T-shirt?
Oh yeah, T-shirt. What was my first rock? That is really I can't remember. Must have been like a Metallica T-shirt, I think. Yeah. And you know the standard tube. No, now I remember. It was a bootleg Iron Maiden shirt with "Can I Play with Madness" print, and it was way too big. And I had my mom sew it in so it would fit me. I still have it, I think.
And are they like over here? The bootleg shirts tend to be pretty poor quality. Are they as poor quality over there as well?
Yeah, totally. Shitty print, but like when you're 13, you don't care. You just want to show people that you'll eventually have long hair. That's what you want to show them.
And what about music? Do you collect music? Do you have any prized music collectibles?
I only collect albums, vinyls from bands that I can't really get a hold of in any other way, or like bands that we've been touring with, smaller artists. So if I go to a show with like an unknown or small artist, I tend to buy an album. I'm not one of those people who has like every Led Zeppelin album, because I've got Spotify and I think that's sufficient. But when it comes to like, things that are rare that you like can't really find anywhere else, I really want to, those things I try to collect.
What about instruments? Do you collect instruments?
Well, you see, I repair guitars whenever we're not out playing. I work in this little guitar repair shop. So I get to see and play and fix a lot of guitars. And I used to be like, having 10 guitars and whatever. But now I only have 3 electric guitars, because 2 come with me out on tour and 1 stays at home. Because I kind of, if you play 60s Les Pauls and whatever at work, and you try everything, you kind of understand that, all right, you won't be able to find the best guitar ever, because there is no best guitar. It's just like different sort of flavors of guitar. And then it's just like, I fixed my SG that I'm playing most of the time. I fixed it myself, and I had it like, I routed it for 3 pickups. I refinished it. I swapped the fretboard. I refretted it. I did everything to it. And now it's like, that's the guitar I want to play. And it's the one that will stick with me for, hopefully the rest of my life.
And what was your first car?
It was a band, a car for like a van for our band. For Deadlord, it was a shitty Mercedes Vito. It sucked so hard. I hated that car, but it took us to Germany a few times. Then I actually wrecked it somewhat, and then we had it. We sold it.
And are you mechanically inclined as well? Did you learn how to work on it, fix it when it broke down?
No, but a few years ago, I think 3 years ago, I decided to get an old American car because I wanted to, learn how a car works. So I bought an AMC Gremlin from '73, and it was just like, it didn't run. Like if you turn the steering wheel to the left, the wheels went to the right. It was just like a disaster, and I knew nothing about cars. So I bought it, parked it outside of where I live, and it stood there for a year or so. And then I just, eventually started changing out the gearbox, getting the motor running, new carburetor, whatever, fixing the steering. And now it's my little thing that I wrench on whenever I don't have anything else to do. Or if I need to just take a break from everything, I just go down into the garage and wrench away. And I have a new 318 that I'm putting in there, hopped up old Chrysler engine that I'm putting in it. So yeah, I'm a bit interested in that sort of thing.
What makes a good Dead God song, and how often do you write something that sounds like an influence but use it anyway?
The trick to using things that is I would say borrowed from someone else is to borrow things from a different genre. So you can nick things off of soul tunes as much as you want, because no one will ever know if they're only into rock and metal. On this album, I actually tried to see how far we could take it. So on the song Evil Always Wins, there's actually the AC/DC's TNT verse riff mixed with random Kiss licks to make the verse. And we gotten away with it. I mean, hopefully people understand that it's done with love. It's done with as an homage. It's not done to be sneaky and we ran out of ideas. It's not like that. It's more showing people this is where we come from and this is how we could make it happen,
Yeah, I was watching the 2 videos that you have. One of them is the performance in your living room, and another one is a guy eating at a table. I believe that's the one. Is that the song that I hear the Kiss song?
Yep.
The Kiss riff.
Yep.
That's the one.
Yep.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
I was that's just Kisses. That's Kiss, and
yeah. So
it's
you have that song is you have the Thin Lizzy dual harmonies in the intro. Yeah. Then you have the AC/DC and the Kiss thing, and then you kind of just make it all one song. And if you listen to it with a skeptic sort of I don't want to like this, they just stole it all sort of mentality, well, too bad for you. But if you listen to it as a whole, as a song, I mean, it's a great song in my mind.
It's a rock and roll stew.
Exactly, a rock and roll stew.
Does the world still look to America for leadership? And do you think artists should speak up about social issues or be quiet and just rock?
I think that being in a position where people hear your voice, as artists are, you have a responsibility to actually speak out. And also, depending on where the times they are now, where America is plummeting into fascism, it's more important than ever to touch upon those issues and talk, because it's dangerous. Like being able to travel around and play rock music requires a certain peace and freedom in the world, and when you start taking that for granted, that's when that's when it starts to crumble. So I would say that an artist would shoot himself in the foot if he didn't speak up against, injustices, and would support freedom of, creativity and freedom of speech and those sorts of things. But then, politics are, we all have different opinions. And you could take a stand and lose maybe fans, and you could whatever. And those issues aren't that important. But I think is really important for an artist is to defend democracy and defend freedom, because without that you won't be able to write songs about whatever you want. Freedom of speech that's a pillar of democracy. That's where you have to have that sort of thing. So yes, offend people, let people be offended, because freedom of speech is much more important than anyone crying because they feel sad.
Well, Hakim, thank you for your time. We look forward to the album coming out. The videos that you have on YouTube, the songs are amazing. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with anybody that might be listening to this?
Well, I'm just wondering if I went too political with just saying that whole fascism thing, but no, just have fun, be nice. That's what I'm about.